Welcome to Make Pods Great Again. I'm your host, John, back again with my girl, Nikki, who's back from Cali.
I
What's
know.
up?
I'm so excited to see you. It has felt very strange not talking to you for like a week.
Are you jet lagged?
Not really. I'm okay now. I was like more waking up hella early on the West Coast, and Logan was making me work out at like 6 a.m. So,
Oh, yeah,
oof.
no thanks. No, thank you. And every time I go to Cali, I feel like I'm like jet lagged for a week afterwards. It takes me forever to like get back in the routine.
Yeah, I weirdly like normally I'm the same way, but I got back last night and I just crashed so hard, like coming down from all the work and the long days and the everything. So I actually slept all right. So I think I'm back. I think I'm back on East Coast time
All right,
for
good.
now.
That was your first time at the ranch though, right?
Yeah, 2020 CrossFit Games was my first time at the ranch. I got to go there for phase one a few weeks ago, but this was my first time like watching anyone compete there. Because for phase one, we were there, but we like basically set up a studio inside of the building itself. So this was my first time like up on the hills and like getting dusty as fuck. And like like I seriously got back on day one when we like started at the ranch and then went, got back to Morgan Hill afterwards. The production guys were like, do you have like a change of clothes or like can you clean yourself up before you
Right.
go back on the air, please? You're dusty and gross.
That's funny. You
Mm,
could have just jumped in the pool with Matt and the boys while they were swimming their laps. It would have been great.
thought about it. There was a warm-up pool behind them. So I was like, yeah, I'll just go take a quick dip in all my clothes.
Well,
No
let's
big
talk.
deal.
Let's talk about the games. They were pretty
Yeah.
spectacular, I thought. Pretty good.
Wild. Wild. I'm so thrilled with like how everything went, like from a broadcast perspective, obviously, but also just as a fan, I was like so into it.
Do I feel like I need to start with like an apology or at least a not an apology. I don't apologize for anything I said about stage one. Not at all.
No.
Like I agree, everything I said, all those nasty memes I made, all that fun I made, I stand behind it 100%. But I will
Yeah.
say a shout out to the mountaintops. This production was fantastic, top to bottom.
Yay.
Top
Oh,
to
that like
bottom.
warms my entire heart. No, I don't think anyone should take it back if they were unhappy with phase one. I think that feedback really helped shape where we landed. I mean, to a point, we always knew we were going to do, whatever we did, like video recap, basically, which was phase one. And we always knew that phase two was going to be live broadcast, but certainly the pressure was on to get it right. So I'm glad that we could glean insight from people who were, you know, reasonably upset and figure out what it was that they wanted and figure out how to do that so that everyone liked the coverage.
I would go as far as to say this was every bit as good as coverage of any regionals, any prior games, if not better than most, my
Yeah, to
opinion.
me it was our best shows. Like despite the craziness of 2020 and what it took to get here and there's only 10 athletes and like I don't think that there should be any asterisks on this year period, but like if people are going to throw them our way, like I still think these were some of our best shows. And we were on network. That was so cool. Like how many people do you think randomly caught us on CBS on Saturday? And they were like, oh, CrossFit, there's like one of those gyms around the corner from my house. Like, maybe I should check it out. I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, let's talk about that. I thought, I was a little skeptical going into the CBS only because of what the events were, thinking that, all right, like, they're just going to do a couplet and it's going to be toes to bar and lunges. And people are going to be like, A, what the heck is that? B, it kind of looks boring. Like, it's just not like
Yeah, yeah.
and it's short. Like, how am I going to get a good workout in 10 minutes? Like, I kind of had some of that thought, but what I thought they pulled off really, really well. I thought through the whole thing, they were playing updates of the previous day. So it
Hmm.
gave you kind of a better vision of what all the athletes were doing, which I thought was really cool. But for me, the highlight was the commercials they kept playing. So they kept playing all the, CrossFit is commercials. And the one that really kind of got me tickled was CrossFit make me bulky. And it was all these women, talking about CrossFit, because I make that joke a lot. Like, cause you hear that all the time from,
Yep.
I hear it all the time from women who aren't CrossFitters. Like, I don't want to do it because it'll make me bulky. I'm like, okay, go do some steroid.
All right,
Yeah,
Karen.
yeah, it's not going to happen. But, I thought that was really clever and smart. And then the other commercials that they were playing, I thought showed a wide range of diversity and inclusion, and really, told the story of CrossFit. You had Chuck Carswell was
Yep.
on one of them. Like his was so good. Like I'm watching it like going, I might start tearing up.
Oh,
Like,
that one made me misty for
yeah.
sure. Yeah. And if you haven't seen any of these, a lot of them are on the CrossFit YouTube page. So they're worth looking up. Like Chuck Carswell's was about the Atlanta youth program and sort of, like what led into the scholarship program. And if you missed any of those, it's worth watching those stories on the YouTube.
Yeah. So I was just, as an observer, was really impressed that they actually took the time to build the brand. Like, this
Hmm.
isn't just going to be a competition. This is going to be, hey, we want to draw people into what we're doing. And from that aspect, I thought it was really successful, especially considering like kind of the time, I'm just thinking like from when new guy Eric took over till today, it's really not that long when you think
Right.
about it. And especially since, the purchase actually went through, it really isn't that long. So to be able to pull that off in that short amount of time and execute on it, in spite of the crappy stage one,
Hmm.
I thought was really, really good. So I was super stoked about that.
Uh, do you want to get real jealous for a second?
Yeah, give it up.
I got to hang out with new guy Eric.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
Did you tell him he looked like me?
I was like, "Hey, are you John?" Wait, oh, sorry, Eric.
Yeah.
Right? Eric? Um, no, he was great. I can't even tell you like personable and just regular down to earth, like normal dude, no chip on his shoulder, like no anything. And I just liked hanging out with him. I just liked having him around. And after every insane, stupid, crazy workout that the elite athletes did, he went. And
Very
I'll tell you
cool.
something, he's fit as fuck.
I've heard that.
Like I don't know obviously like what his background is in CrossFit, but like to this day he looks like he could qualify in the like age group qualifier.
I want to take him on head to head. Bald guy versus bald guy.
Whoa. You
Come
have
on,
to go
Avita.
RX to take him on.
I don't know about that. I don't have to do anything.
Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's
No,
very
but
cool.
that was
Yeah.
cool. It was really neat having him on site.
Yeah, I saw some video of him doing the workouts, and like a true
Yeah.
CrossFitter, he had his shirt off, flexing on how
Yep.
ripped he is. So good for him.
Totally. But it was just neat to be like, that's our CEO. Like, that's the guy at the head of our company. We've never really had that vibe before. And there were points in time when we wrapped everything after Atalanta, we had like a pizza and beer party, whatever, quote unquote party. There's not a lot of people around, but like the athletes that were finished and their coaches got to come to the ranch and their like plus ones got to come for the first time because the ranch was very like skeleton crew. And our production people, obviously, who were at the ranch on site were done. So we were outdoor, socially distanced pizza and beer. And he was doing like half Atalanta or modified or something with Heber and Marston. And I just remember looking over, I was standing with Danielle Brandon, who was on the demo team. And I was just like, that's our fucking CEO. Like crushing this workout while I'm stuffing my face with pepperoni pizza and drinking beer.
That's the way to do it. Somebody sent me people just send me memes during games week. They always do. Like I kind of love games week because I put in a lot of effort, for the record, a lot of effort, but people
You
also
do.
send me a lot of stuff,
Yep.
and I use a pretty decent amount of it because, I firmly believe everybody can be funny once, right? And I usually get their best stuff. So I love that. And somebody sent me, like a real popular format right now is where it began, or where it started, where it is now.
Yep.
And somebody sent me one where it began. It was a picture of Greg, and it was the worst photo of Greg ever. Like, just,
Oh.
he just at his worst. And then, where it is now, and it was new guy Eric, shirt off, ripped, like looking. I'm like, it was funny to look at, like, but I'm like, I'm not going to be mean to Greg. Like, it's not
No.
fair. Like, Greg started this. I'm not going to pick on the guy, but it was really funny. I'll give him credit.
Wild. Well, I'm going to reach back out to him and see if we can, if you're listening, new guy Eric and company, we want you on the show. See
Hey,
if we can make that happen.
I send him all kind of make pods great again stuff. I meant to send you a text and tell you to ask him if he got it.
Wait, did you send him the guitar strap?
I did. I'm
I
very
didn't
thoughtful.
ask.
Yeah,
Oh
for
my
those that wonder
God.
what that is, so new guy Eric is a guitarist just like me. So if he won't hear this before he sees it, if he ever sees it, but I got him a guitar strap that says CrossFit CEO on it, and it looks really cool. And yeah, I sent it to his gym in wherever it is in Colorado. Sanitas,
Yeah.
is that what it is? CrossFit Sanitas.
Yeah. I'm
So
going to ask him about that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Since you guys are on, first name
Yeah, I
basis.
was gonna just text him
Yeah.
and be like, bro. No, I just will email him back. You'll see it in 3 months because he's
Yeah,
the busiest man on the planet right now.
there you go. Well, tell me about your experience. So what was it like?
Man, it was just awesome. Like TV production is always stressful, and I bug out so hard when I'm on the floor. I know it sounds stupid to say out loud because I've been doing it for a while and I was in TV production for a while and we have this podcast every week, but like the imposter syndrome is so real for me. Every single time I get out onto the floor, I'm like, do I suck at this? Like, I might say something really stupid. Like, do people hate me when they see me on the TV? Like, all these sort of like thoughts run through my mind, but I don't know what happens when the mic is on and there's an athlete next to me. And I'm genuinely curious the way any fan would be about what the hell just happened. It all melts away. So, it was stressful in its own way just because it's work and we all want it to be perfect and we want it to do really well. But it was awesome being out there. The vibe was really cool. The atmosphere was so unique. And I'll tell you what, like, tell me your opinion as well, but like, I obviously like love the hype of the stadiums and the people and the crowds and music's going and it's like it's a mood and I like it. I've always liked it. It's exciting. It like fires me up. But something about this year's competition, like the quiet and the seriousness and like the intimacy of having just a few athletes out there and being able to hear them breathing and being able to hear their coaches. I was so dialed in, like as a fan, I was so here for it in a completely different way. And neither one was better or worse, but like I was just like a friggin' hawk, like my eyes on the prize, like watching these people lift on the 5 platforms out there, or like, watching them run up a hill like via helicopter cam is like, it could have been so boring. And I was glued to the program monitor. What did you think?
Yeah, it was the same watching at home at times. I mean, there's upsides and downsides to the number of competitors that you had based on whatever the event was. The upside of having no spectators doing it on TV and small competition is the events went really quick,
Mm-hmm.
which I really like. Like,
I should too.
like,
You don't have 4 heats of everything.
yeah, that's the point. Like I said that to Megan. Megan and I were watching together, and she's like, "Wow, that was really quick." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I don't like spectating when it's like 4 or 5 heats, and you got to watch all these people that have no chance of winning."
Yeah,
Like I
you never watch early heats.
never hate that shit. Hate it. And so from that aspect, it was really cool. Some of the events were anticlimactic, even though they were fun to watch. So like the snatch ladder, like it kind of had a sense who was going to be at the end of that to begin with, because you have stats on everybody, like, or at least those of us that follow enough. So like I had a pretty good idea on that one, what it was going to look like. It shaped up exactly like I thought it would. It was still fun to watch,
Yeah,
but like I was sitting there like kind of missing getting to see Amanda Barnhart
sure.
or
I
some of
know what you
that,
mean. But
like,
but the snatch ladder was so exciting in its own right because, well, first of all, Jeff Adler called Matt out the day before, and he was like, "I'm gonna fucking win the snatch ladder. Good luck." Like he was like, "I won the total, and I'm gonna snatch more than you too." So like that
right.
was like fun to like witness. And then when it was like almost about to happen, and then it didn't happen, and then I think it was him and Sam Quant both missed in the end, and it was just like, oh my god, who can recover faster? I was like literally biting my nails. It's like, oh my god, what's about to happen? I don't know.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. It was still fun to watch. It was just like there were some of those events like that one and the the sled sprint, right? It was so fast. And
Mm-hmm.
because there was literally a heat of men and a heat of women, like as a spectator, it took 2 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like even my daughter who doesn't follow CrossFit events, she goes, "We waited 2 hours for that." That's exactly what she said to me.
Okay, okay.
I'm like, yeah, spoken like every woman in my entire life.
Well,
I
yeah.
know it was that part was interesting, I thought, but I enjoyed it. I mean, it almost made me wish like future games where they had some of it that was TV only. Like I enjoyed watching, like that trail run was a great example of one that like you couldn't really get the drama and the intensity of that trail run if that had been done with spectators on site. You just can't get it. Like,
Totally.
you would have missed that whole turnaround portion where Matt's like, yeah, okay, buddy, and gives him the finger, and Justin's like, all right, here we go again, and they take off running.
Mm-hmm.
You would have missed all that live. So there are trade-offs. I loved what it was. Like,
Yeah.
whether they ever do anything like this again, I don't know. But considering we're getting very little sports right now in any capacity, I thought it was as well put together as any sporting event on TV.
Same. I was really proud to be a CrossFitter during these broadcasts because I just feel like what we pulled off, and not just we, the broadcast, as an entire community, anyone who watched, anyone who tuned in, anyone who wanted this to happen still, what we pulled off as a community is so representative of who we are. We don't quit. Because it's hard is not ever a reason for us to quit. There could have been lots of reasons. There could have been we just got a new CEO and we don't have our legs under us. It's too expensive, or we don't think we can pull it off safely because of COVID. There are all sorts of reasons to not pull something like this off. Because it's hard is not one of them.
Except
and
for the
that's, I
assault
think,
bike.
something, right. That's a very good reason.
Very good reason to quit with the assault bike.
Yeah. But we are those people. We have never said, I'm going to not do this because it's hard. So it just made me really proud to be a part of this community, to say it's not the same as every other year. It's different. It's smaller, but we're going to lean into how small it is to make it a test of the fittest on earth. Shuttling people around, having multiple locations, we never could have done that with hundreds of athletes. Going back to the ranch in and of itself, I'm not sure we could have done with hundreds of athletes. And I feel like the ranch at this point, given the way that all of the oh my God, there's a spider on my desk.
Burn the house down.
Oh my God, hold on. What am I gonna do? There's a it's in this flower somewhere. Cut all this out of the show. I'm just gonna move this whole thing.
No, I'm gonna leave it all in and wait for you to start screaming. And
no, it's not like that one time I had to mute myself.
Yeah, and Matt had to come in.
Matt had to come in.
Yes, I remember that episode.
Okay. Anyway, I was just gonna say, the way we looked at all the events and the way that the programming worked, I think, to me, the way it shook out was the ranch is sort of the ultimate proving grounds for the fittest. Those events were the hardest, mentally, physically, with variables. So I just feel we leaned into what we have, playing the hand we were dealt, in a way that made me just proud to be yeah, CrossFitter, this is what we do. This is how we roll.
Yeah, I thought it was very cool. I didn't have a lot of complaints or critiques. I mean, Steph and I, when we were doing our Instagram live stuff, we talked about this some. I thought the programming was really good. I thought it was a little run heavy, a little bit. And when you really calculate it out, they did 10 miles of running in 3 days, which is a lot. So it felt a little, I don't want to say excessive, but it's just a lot of running, especially for CrossFitters. I thought the last workout was funny to me. I don't know if Dave will ever hear this, or if somebody will tell him. I said on Instagram Live, he's just petty as fuck. And here's what I meant by that. There's been 2 workouts in the time he's been programming CrossFit Games that he's been highly criticized. The first one was Murph, when he nearly killed Annie Thor's daughter and everybody else. And the second one was Mary, a year ago, when on the Buttery Bros documentary, Vellner himself goes, Mary was not a good test of fitness during the games. So what does he do this year? He's like, I'm going to program Murph and Mary, put them together, and I'm going to murder somebody with it. And that's what he did. That's absolutely what he did. And you will never convince me otherwise that he didn't program that as a big F you to everyone that criticized him, that I'm going to program something really hard at the end. And to his credit, it was really fun to watch. I'm just hopeful that nobody out there is trying to do this as prescribed. No. And they are, but I can just see some random CrossFitter giving themselves rhabdo because they think they can go do 200 pistols and 300 pull-ups.
No. And we tried to make it very clear on the broadcast, because obviously we have insight from Justin Berg and from Dave and whatever, when we're talking about, these events, we've asked them the questions that everyone has, like, how'd you get here? Why'd you think about this? And they made it very clear that this is a top shelf workout. Like, Atalanta is not something that any of us should ever go out and do. I think we like wanted to have like, do not try this at home, like the jackass intro. Like, we
Yeah,
will not
they should
accept or
have.
repost your submissions of you doing this because it's not for you. And I think that, to me, that's not Dave being petty. To me, that's Dave continuously raising the bar, because if you look back at what used to happen at games, like, everything has been too hard for us at some point or other. The year one, no one could do a pegboard. Year one of Murph was really hard for athletes. Year two was not. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you look back at the original CrossFit Games, like, women couldn't snatch 95 pounds. And now that's like a joke.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just saying it just happened to be the two workouts they got criticized for. Hey, come on. I get it. Spoken like a true reporter that wants to get invited back. I understand.
Please invite me back. No, but to me, it makes sense. And to me, you know what? Even if he is doing it as like a big FU to everyone, like, I almost am like, good.
Yeah, I'm okay
Like,
with it. Don't get me
go
wrong.
on, criticize him again. I want to see what else he comes up with, because, like, realistically, I don't know. It's just part of what makes the athletes great is him coming up with the shit and everyone being like, oh, I need to know how to pegboard now.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm kind of like, be evil, make it harder. Like, I want to see what everyone's capable of.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a bad test. I just thought the workout itself was a little petty, but it was certainly in line with what games athletes can do. Like, I wasn't surprised. They all survived it. They all did just fine. The only other part that was really interesting to me, this isn't a complaint or a critique or anything other than what it is that in this smaller field, the disappointment for the athletes, I felt, was higher. And I felt like the experience for spectators led to harsher criticism. Like, I kept hearing people say things like Noah shit the bed. And I'm like, Noah's fifth in the world, people.
I know.
Like,
I know.
and that's the thing. It's like, and I felt like the athletes, even like, I looked at Brooke and Haley at the end, that were both, you could tell, devastated they didn't make the podium. And I'm like, you both finished higher than you ever have before. And it's no consolation coming from an old guy like me, but I'm sure it felt, the weight of it, I'm sure, was harsher knowing you were so close. Like, in a big competition with 30 people, or even if there had been 10, like there was a year ago, like, getting to the podium feels different. It feels different as a spectator. Like, you got past 7 people to get there. You're like, oh my God. But when you're only competing in a group of 5 over 3 days, it had to feel like the prize is within my grasp. And then when it's pulled away, in this case, for all of them, quite literally in the last workout, it's really heartbreaking. And so I think from that aspect, that, as a spectator, like, I don't know Brooke at all. And I'm sitting there going, like, watching her cry, going, oh my God, I feel so bad for her. And I don't know her, and then Haley's like, we know Haley, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to cry. This is like my kid. Like, I feel so bad, so.
Yeah, the emotion was palpable. And I hate that. Like, I hate it because I just feel bad for them, like you said. And I love it because what an intimate look into some of the fittest, most famous athletes that we worship.
Yeah.
Like, how lucky are we that we were given the opportunity to, like, see that coming from them, to be like, wow, I'm so thrilled to see how you handle this and how you use it to get fitter and get better. And, I know Haley's like, cool, when can I train again? Like, I was sad yesterday and today I'm ready to murder this workout. Let's go. Like, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, she's tough as nails, that one. I mean, she like shreds her hands and she just keeps on chugging. It's crazy.
Oh my God. It did not, TV did not properly show what happened to her hands.
I saw the photo. She posted them. They were disgusting, absolutely disgusting. Like, and I figured they would be. Like, I've seen people do it to their hands before, and I felt sure she was in that place when at one point she jumped up and grabbed the bar and immediately let go. And you only do that if it feels like someone's just slicing a knife through your
Mhm.
hands. Like
Mhm.
I was like, oh man, she's in a bad place, because there's really no chance that, I mean, that workout's really kind of designed for her. Running and gymnastics movement, she would, short of an injury, which is what she basically had, I would have thought she would have done better.
Yeah, and she was in second place for like the whole first half,
Yeah.
basically, right behind Carrie. It straight up made my butt tingle when I was like sitting there watching it. I was like, oh, I can see it.
I
It's
know,
like
right?
dripping down her hand. It's under her thing. She's like wiping it on her legs, on her shorts, like all it blood's everywhere. And then at one point, I watched her lift her hand strap and cover her bloody hand in
Yeah, I saw that.
chalk.
Yeah, I
And
saw
I was
that.
like, what? Like, we all
Yeah.
know what that is like when you're like, I'm desperate and I need to keep going. And you like pack your wound with chalk and it hurts so bad. Oh my God.
Yeah.
My
Before I
butt is tingling
forget,
right now.
can we talk about how cute we look in our matching Hustle Made gear?
Oh my
Right?
God. Did
I
you see
know.
my story?
I did. So for those of you that don't watch this on YouTube and will only listen, we were both wearing black Hustle Made gear that were sent to us by Craig and Jazz from the Craig Ritchie team on YouTube, and it's amazing apparel. And I don't know what your shirt's like, but this hoodie I'm wearing is amazing.
This shirt is incredible. It's like half performance material, but half like cozy. So like I kind of want to go work out in it, but I didn't work out in it because I knew I wanted to look cute in it later.
Let me give this couple like huge props. So they're YouTube famous, right, for lack of a better term.
Huge,
Yeah, and
enormous.
and they've built this clothing brand, Hustle Made. And every time I go to a CrossFit event, I'll text them if they're not at it, because they're usually at the big ones. But if I happen to be one they're not at, I will text them and say, "Oh my God, there's like 1,000 people here in your gear."
Mm-hmm.
And I started noticing it a year ago. And so when they sent this to me, I started looking at like the details, like the hoodie strings. On the hoodie strings, like the little metal end says Hustle on the end, like printed. The
Oh.
only other apparel I have that does that is Lululemon.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
Like,
I've never had any of their gear before, and the pants that I'm wearing right now fit me like my Fleos, which are my favorite other leggings, and they're soft like my Lulus. And the bras also, they fit me like my Lulu bras, which are the only ones that I wear. And I'm like, oh, suddenly like I'm gonna find this one as soon as it's fresh out of the wash every time.
well, Jess didn't
Very
send me
cool.
a bra, so I can't speak to the bras, but
Also, like full transparency, not sponsored by them.
yeah, no,
Just
yeah,
like
no.
this was so sweet of them to send us
Well,
gear, and we did not plan this coordination, but we look hella cute.
we do look hella cute. We need it. We'll have
Mhm.
we'll have them on the show at some point. Like the backstory with Craig and Jazz. So when I first started my page, Craig was one of the first people to pick up on me, one of the very first ones. And I bet I had a couple thousand followers at the most. And one of my friends texted me and they said, "Oh my God, you're on Team Richie." And I'm like, "Okay, I don't know what the hell that is."
Say what?
Yeah, what is that? And they're like, "It's a YouTube channel." And so they sent me the link and I look it up. And Craig not only posted one of my memes, but he like straight up did a shout out, "Hey, you need to follow this guy." So as soon as I saw it, I flip over to my Instagram page, because in those days I wasn't looking at it every 30 seconds. And like the follower count had jumped like 1,000
Whoa.
in just like an hour or so. Because they have, I forget how many subscribers they have, but it's, I want to say 300,000 or something
A
ridiculous.
billion.
It's a lot. And YouTube subscribers are far different than Instagram. Like they're way more invested.
Yeah, they actually want to be there. They
Yeah.
actually want to watch you with
Yeah.
time and effort.
Yeah, exactly. And anyway, so, and he did that multiple times. Like, so I owe a lot of like kind of the kickoff to the page and like how it got started and how I started picking up followers. And, I owe a lot to them in that regard. And then he's been kind of an invaluable wealth of just discussion with me over the last couple of years of just like how to grow the page. Like he said to me once, he's like, what do you want to get to? Pick your number and you'll get there. And I didn't really understand it at the time, but I did it. And he's right. Like once you can visualize something, you start working toward that, you know? And I did. And
Well,
like, he's just given me a lot of good advice, like from a
yeah.
social media standpoint, what to do, what not to do.
Let's get them on the show. Let's do
Yes.
this with them.
Then we can all wear hustle gear at the same time.
I
It'd be
would
great.
love that. I'm totally addicted. To be honest, like I need a mood. Like I'm either like in a big, colorful, like traditional CrossFit mood, or I'm in like a really like sleek, clean branding mood. And I put them in the same category as like noble and wit, where like I'm very attracted to that particular aesthetic because it's just like clean, made well, good amount of branding, and yeah, I like it. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's great. Anyway, all right, back to CrossFit.
Anyway, back to CrossFit. What was your favorite event?
Oh, let me see. Let me think them through real quick. So
Okay.
I loved the trail run because it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I particularly loved the kind of the surprise at the middle. And then I really loved seeing people's faces when Matt and Justin turned around and ran past them. That part was like particularly fun. I liked, I mean, it's going to be weird to say I liked it all. There were some things I liked less than others, but I love the traditional CrossFit stuff. Like I love the couplets, the toes to bar, and the lunges in the very first workout, the throwback to 2007. Like those are very traditional CrossFit style workouts. Those are fun for me to watch because you see those happen in the gym. I knew I'd have to do those at my own gym, probably this week. We've already done one.
100%.
Yeah, we've already done one.
Which one did you do?
The 2007. I actually did it here at home.
Did you do the same weights?
Yeah, I did 235, Nikki. Yes.
Hey, you are fit as hell. So,
no, I didn't even come close. I did, what did I do? We did the original. So we did 1,000-meter row and then 14 pull-ups, 7 push jerks. And, I did them at 115. They programmed at 135. I did them at 115. Cause again, like I always try to I kind of know what I'm capable of. I probably could have done 135 in hindsight, but I wanted to stay within the time domain that the athletes did it within. I didn't want to take 20 minutes. I wanted to take 13 or less, and it did, so I like those two. The two that were odd to me, I enjoyed watching them, but they were odd was, the bike
repeater.
Bike repeater was a little weird. It was fun to watch though. But
yeah, I loved it.
It was a little weird.
I loved it.
And the sled sprint was just so fast, and with only 2 heats, you're just like, that's it. Okay. On to the next thing, it's just, but I love the finish. Like it was, again, fun to watch because you had a photo finish, but
totally
just really quick.
Yeah. 0.4 of a second, I think.
Yeah. Oh, it was.
Oh, it's wild.
What about you? What were your favorites?
I think my ultimate favorite was the trail run, because I knew about the secret and I felt my heart like beating so hard in my chest, like about to explode as all the athletes were running the first leg. Like I couldn't contain myself. I was just like, they don't know what's coming. Oh my God. Like it was an emotional roller coaster for me. And it's still, when they turn around, and I don't know if you could hear Dave on the podcast, but Matt didn't believe him at first. And he just kind of like hunkered down for like a hot second, went to catch his breath. And Justin just turned around and kept going. And Matt's looking at him for like half second, like, what the hell's going on? And Dave turned around and he was like, go, you're losing right now.
Yeah. We could hear him. He's like, no, I'm serious, Matt, you got to go.
Like you're losing the race right now. Yeah. Justin is in front of you right now. And so I think that was just like figuring out how the athletes were going to handle that mentally, and watching it unfold was my absolute favorite part of the entire weekend, because we've never seen anything like that. We have pushed everyone to the brink physically and seen what their bodies are capable of and what their minds are capable of when their bodies don't give out. This was different. This was all mental. It had no problem physically continuing to run. And it was wild. I was like, whoop, CrossFit Games 2020, giving me goosebumps.
Oh, I've done enough trail runs to know that was a brutal twist. The funny thing is, somebody texted me. I think I sent you a message, but I got through to Sean, they left the audio stream open on one
Oh
of the
my gosh, you
channels.
definitely texted me about that.
Yeah, so a follower, like people love just sending me shit. They love it, and it's one of my favorite parts of the page, to be honest. And this guy messages me, says, "Hey, dude, the audio stream is open on whatever the other channel was, and we can hear the announcers talking." I'm like, "Oh, really? What can you hear?" And
Oh.
he's like, "Well, I can hear them cursing, and they're
Sounds right. Sounds
and
right.
they're talking, they're like people do when they're together." And he goes, and they said that it's they're going to announce it as a 3 mile trail run, but it's really 2.6 miles, and they're just going to round up, probably due to elevation or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And
Oh shit, I didn't
um,
even know that.
yeah, I'm like, "So what else?" And he's like, it's like, "Oh, that's kind of it." So I messaged Sean, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, you guys audio's on, quick, drop some profanities." He's like, "Well, what did they?" And Sean comes back and goes, "What did they hear?" And that's when I'm like, "Oh, something's happening." Like something's
Mm.
happening. And I told him, he's like, "Okay, well, that's okay then. That's all they heard."
Yeah, yeah, because
And
that's what they had announced. There was one point, this was day 3. It was right before the sprint event. And my red hat Drew came over and he was like, "Hey, they set up like a TV and a PA system in the athlete warm-up area, and your mic's just open all the time." I was like,
nice.
what? Like, I hope I haven't been talking shit. Like,
Yeah.
how long has it been open? What did they hear? And I had just just had this conversation with Boz where I was trying to figure out like what my pre-event hit was going to be when they came to me on camera. And I'm like, down here, like, what's unique that only I can tell people? Like, let's show people the sled and figure out what's going on here. And I was like, Boz, like, do you think that what I asked him was, do you think that being pitched forward and having your hands on the sled is going to mess them up like muscle memory wise when they need to switch and start to sprint? Like, are they going to like fall on their faces basically? And he was like, no, I don't think that's going to matter, but I think it is going to really matter where they decide to put their hands on the thing. And so I'm like, great, that's what I'll talk about on the air. And he was like, they need to be low so they can get leverage. If they are high, they have to stay high, otherwise they could pitch it forward. And he was like, but they really, like, they're athletes. And I'm like, I mean, they should know this already, right? And he was like, ooh, you said it. I didn't say it. You said it. And then Drew came over and he was like, yeah, your mic's open. And I'm like, oh, it could have been worse.
Could have been way
It could have
worse.
been worse than being like, these athletes should fucking know this already. But
I
still,
don't know what they're
I was
doing.
like, I really hope I didn't say anything stupid. Oh, wait, can I go back like 4 conversations real quick
Sure.
to people who were like, oh, like Noah shit the bed, or like, Brooke really ended up whatever. That is like 100% the meme of like the fat guy on the couch eating Cheetos being like, you suck at fitness. Like, don't nobody know. Just know.
Well, look, I think I understand like people's mindset, because it's easy to fall into as a spectator watching it on TV. Like you would watch it and it would look like someone was shitting the bed. Whether like the very first event, Noah finished 5th, and to his credit, like I just love that dude to death. For the
He's
record,
so
like
awesome.
he is
He's
such a
amazing.
kind and sweet dude. I've messaged him a couple of times, and he's clearly disappointed. And one thing I respect the hell out of him for, right now he's posting kind of his summary of each events, and
Mm-hmm.
he posted about the first one, how he was floored that he finished in 5th on the, he thought he would do better and he finished in 5th, and how disappointing that was. And as a spectator watching it, it looked like he shit the bed. But as someone who's done CrossFit for a long time, I'm sitting there going, he's not. I knew he wasn't. But when
No.
you're only compared against 4 other people, and those 4 other people are
Sure.
beating you, it just appears that way.
I
If
know.
in a field of 30, he very likely could have still finished 5th.
Oh my God.
It's,
Yeah, totally.
and I'm sure even for him, it felt that way because he's doing the points. So like with that point value, like he probably would have been ecstatic with a 5th in the first event of the CrossFit Games. You look at some of his other, previous years where he like lost his bike pedal that one year, and it,
Right.
like it's a lot of stuff that can happen. So it just like, it does have that appearance. So I understand why people would say that. It's just, it is incredibly unfair though, because you're still talking about the top 5 people,
And like you look at the slowest Atalanta times are like my Murph time, basically.
Right.
Right? Like
It probably didn't help that, I mean, in all fairness, Justin and Sam are relative unknowns. not to the people around them, but like they don't have the same, don't carry the same weight of a name
True.
as Noah Olson, who's been
True.
at the game several times
Yeah.
and already been on the podium. And so I think, that was part of it too. Now he's losing to people that they don't know. And so they
Mhm.
think they should easily beat Justin without knowing, the casual observer doesn't know what Justin's capable of.
Right.
That kind of corrected itself over the course of the 3 days as people started to
Yeah.
figure out, all right, this Justin kid's pretty fit.
Hey, turns out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sam Quant, not
Totally.
such a bad athlete after all.
Oh my
It's
God. Yeah. And he has like a huge history. He's been coming to the games since like 2016 or something like that. Like
yeah, I
he's
know. It's just
not new.
I know, but like there's so many people that are just coming into CrossFit, like, they see Frazier and that's kind of all they know.
And you know what? For good reason, because I think we witnessed history at this year's
I think
CrossFit
that dude's
Games.
going to win until he decides to quit winning. Personally, like he's on an entire another level. It's ridiculous.
The dominance, like I can't really make words to describe the dominance of him and Tia. Like the guys, I mean, they have a lot more. The other broadcasters have a lot more like intrinsic other sports knowledge than I do. I really just do CrossFit and baseball, and that's like basically my whole life. Um, but they were talking about these like other epic moments in history and how like the only other domination, if you will, there's not really a better word for it.
Right.
Don't make fun of me like that time I said like wetness and everyone was like, oh, you just said wetness on TV.
Right.
That's what happens when you get out of a pool. You stay wet. The wetness factor happens on the balls.
It does. There was a
It
lot of wetness
does.
on the balls.
So much wetness on all the balls. Anyway,
All the balls.
like I think they were saying like the only other athlete that dominant, like competition over competition, year over year, event over event, was like Secretariat.
Yeah, you could
Straight up.
probably it's hard to, people always do the LeBron and Jordan comparison, which
Mhm.
I don't think is fair because those are team sports. I think it's more fair to look at individual sports like Tiger Woods, Serena Williams,
Mhm.
Pete Sampras, like there's a whole list of like kind of
Sure.
individual athletes over the years. And I would put his 5 titles, considering what it takes to win a CrossFit Games, right up there with Tiger Woods' 15 major championships,
Yep.
or
Yep.
whoever.
Totally.
It really is unreal. And the fact that what it looked like, I hate to keep using Tiger Woods as the example, but the first year Tiger won the Masters, he was so far out in front of everybody else. Like it was like he was just playing with them, like they were just a toy to him. And that's what it looked like this year with Matt. Like, I don't care who you had put out there. And I have great respect and love for all these professional athletes. But man, like I don't think anybody could have beaten him in any
No
capacity.
way. Nope.
You
Not a
know?
single person. No, he's proven it. He's proven it so many times. And Tia too. And I love listening to Tia say, like, I know I am the fittest woman on this earth. It is so badass. Like she is unbelievable. And I have heard from so many people like that work behind the scenes and that broadcast with us and that volunteer with us year over year, that like their little girls at home like idolize Tia, like have posters of her, like whenever they're like, like they're like FaceTiming, they're like, we're behind the
Right.
scenes at the CrossFit Games, and they like can show like, look at that's Tia in the background. Like their little girls go nuts. What she's doing for the next generation of girls growing up looking at leaders in sports, in health, in wellness, in the world is like way beyond just doing thrusters at 200
Right.
pounds. It's so cool.
Probably the thing that I took away from both of them that I really appreciated, was just kind of the human side of what they did. So like when you interviewed Tia a couple of times, she has moments where she can be very robotic, and I mean that with
Totally.
respect.
Yeah.
Like most great athletes, they diagnose what they just did and they try to break it down to you in a way you'll understand, even though you could never do or really understand what they did.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But then, in the interviews, she would routinely take time, make sure very deliberate time to recognize the team around her, Shane,
Yes.
and not just as a coach, but just the people that support her and help her do what she wants to do. And then the same for Matt. Like
Yes. Always.
Matt's the most dominant male champion ever. And like kind of the first words out of his mouth were, I can't do this if it weren't for Sammy,
Mm-hmm.
and for me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sitting there going, man, that's like the sweetest, like you think of this guy
Yeah.
as like, he's just out there to kill people. Like it's like a boxer almost, like he's just, all he wants to do is destroy you when he works out. And then his first thought is, this person I love supports me. And I thought that was really, really cool and sweet and human and humble and so many emotions there. So it was really, really cool to see.
Did you hear his final answer to my like last interview question? When
Probably, but what was it?
I was like, what do you basically like what's next? Like you're always only focused on the task at hand or
Right.
like just I'm only looking at the next event. I'm not looking at the whole weekend or anything like that. And I was like, so it's over. Like you have 5 titles. Like what is next to look forward to? And he was so cute. He was like, we don't have return tickets booked. Like him and Sammy are gonna just like hang out. And I don't know if it's relax or travel or do whatever. And he was like, have some like big life talks. And
That's
I was
good.
like, wait, does that mean we're gonna have little Matt Frasers running around?
Well, we already have little Matt Frasers running around,
Oh, that's not
but
fair. I walked
yes,
into that. I set him up and I didn't mean
this
to.
it was a softball pitch. Look, if
Well,
you're going to throw him over the plate, Nikki, I'm going to swing
damn
at him.
it. I
Um,
don't know what it meant and I didn't want to pry, but in my head I was like, that'd be
hey,
cool. That'd be
yeah,
really cool, man.
look, I talked to somebody about this the other day. I mean, I would never tell anybody to or not to have kids. I have to believe they know there's a shelf life on what he's doing. He can't win forever. He can't. Like
Oh,
it's
on CrossFit, I was like, there's a shelf life on having kids. Like,
no,
we're going down
no,
this lane, John.
no, no, no. Well, there is a shelf life on
There
having
is, but like,
kids,
I didn't think that's what this was going to be about.
but they're very young. There's a shelf life for competing and
Totally,
what it takes
totally.
to win at that level. So I'm sure that's like if you're gonna have the talk, like that's got to be the talk. Is
Sure.
like you can't. It's
Yeah.
hard to do both.
Oh, of course. I can't imagine.
I mean, I selfishly I want to see him win 10 titles. Like it was
I
so
know,
much
so
fun
do
to watch.
I. So do I.
I've
But
kind
but
well, we'll
he's
see.
got to do what's best for him.
Yeah,
I
that's
loved that answer. And he doesn't always give me a lot. Like he's not, oh, he's a little bit like the Bill Belichick of CrossFit. Oh, I
right.
just did what I had to do and came out here and won. And I thank you
Hey,
very much. He's so polite and I've always appreciated that. But he said it and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna take that. There's a little period on the end of your
hey,
win here. Nice
he's
job.
he's earned the right to do anything he wants to do.
Accurate.
He
Accurate.
absolutely and there's a little part of me too that just loves the fact that Dave's like, this isn't a guarantee, and then like from event one, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's a guarantee.
Yeah,
Like
like me.
it doesn't matter what you program Dave, he's gonna smash it. It's just really kind of that
I
simple.
know. I loved that anything could have happened though. I loved that 3 events in fifth or fourth would have shaken everything up, And I know it didn't, but I loved the possibility. And I loved Matt and Tia asserting their dominance and every position underneath them changing after every single event. Like I
Yeah. Oh
loved it.
yeah.
It kept everything so interesting to me. And like, I'm sorry, but like all y'all who said this was boring because Matt and Tia won, like I'll keep my profanity to myself. Like ridiculous. The most ridiculous like argument I've ever heard.
Yeah, look,
You
you
want to
can't.
like you're watching history happen here with these athletes and what they're capable of and there is an epic battle happening right behind them. Like there's no way that that's boring.
Yeah, you can't please everybody. Like that's the thing. Like if you would have had 30 athletes there, people would have bitched you didn't have 40. If you had 20, they would have bitched you didn't have 30. Like I would have liked to have seen 10, but I was fine with 5. It was fun.
Mhm.
Like it was fun to see. The events were good. The programming was great. The venue was spectacular. Like, there's so much good that came out of it. And considering that we could have had nothing, like absolutely nothing, like it was a damn good production. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, no complaints other than that I wasn't there. I mean, that hurt my feelings a little.
I did
You
miss
got
you.
Eric, but that's all right. They'll invite me never. It's fine. Totally fine.
Well, hopefully someday COVID won't, restrict us so much and we'll be able to have other media, outside media, meme media,
Meme media.
me media.
I don't know if they're ever going to let meme media in. I don't know. We'll
They
see.
did last year.
Well, yeah, but yeah, last year you had old guy running it and he let anybody in,
That's true.
you know.
That's
So
true.
we'll see. I'm not holding my breath to ever get another media pass for them, but truthfully, I don't need it. Like, I don't need a media pass to do what I do. I'm like, my real role is within my own little community over here. I don't need
Yeah.
the CrossFit Games to make that happen. And
Yeah. I feel like you would come and spectate and people would just like love to have you there.
that part would have been fun. I would have loved to have been there. I
Yeah.
loved going to the games last year, but
Yeah.
I was I was sitting on the couch, not working out, and people were sending me stuff, and I was thinking, I'm getting much better content this way than I would
Hmm.
have. So it actually made me think of when and if the games happen again, what I will probably do is buy one of those club seats where you sit up in the tower overlooking the field
Ooh.
and go up there for events and create my content and then go down on the floor amongst the people, amongst the little people.
Amongst the plebes.
Yes, during everything else, because I like being around the people, but you can't create anything when you're actually watching the event out in the middle of a stand. It's
Right.
like,
Right.
so from that aspect, it was fun. People would send me stuff, and when you watch it, that's where you see all the crazy shit, like homeboy burping, like
Oh
that,
yeah, so funny.
like that
He
was.
straight up was like, I might throw up during this interview. I was
It
like,
wouldn't have surprised me. And like
fine.
you really get to see like your interview with Haley when she's like down on all fours, like a frog position, looking like
Oh,
she's
poor
about to
thing.
die.
Poor thing. She was just like, can I not? I was like, can we talk? Like, you came in second. This is a big deal. And she was just like, can we sit?
Yeah. Can I just
It's
sit
like,
here?
yeah.
And you get to hear like, again, like watching on TV, you get to hear, see Matt give the finger and you get to hear him curse and like
Mm-hmm.
these, you can actually see the look on their face. Like that part was
So
pretty
cool.
epic. Yeah, it was so cool. Loved it.
Public apology. I need to make one
Uh-oh.
for not making any sack jokes.
I know.
I know. I'm
You made it up. You
sorry.
made it up with you had a few ball comments, and so that was
So
okay. But
sad. I even said to my camera guy, I was like, what's another word for wet? Like, I don't want to say it, but I'm trying to
moist,
say that. No.
moist. Oh,
Ugh, he said that too.
you
I
should
was like,
have.
I need to do some kind of thing. Cause again, like I'm always trying to think about like what perspective can I bring that the guys in the booth can't bring because they're not down here, so they
Right.
can't see it. So I'm literally watching people get no repped over and over because the ball is slipping out of their hands because it's wet, because they're wet. And then in the time that they have to stop and like wait for the next round to go back, they're like taking their towels and they're toweling it off because they're wet.
This is
And
why
they
they've
don't see
never.
that because as soon
Yeah,
as it's over, they cut to highlights. And I'm like, guys, come to me. I'm going to tell you what's happening down here. Everybody's wet.
yeah. They'd never let me interview these guys. They'd be like, "Oh, your balls are so wet, Matt. You used to drying your balls this way, Matt." Like it'd been a great, just over and over, just a constant stream of ball jokes. But,
So yeah,
oh well,
I unintentionally made it up on the D balls.
that's all right. We were okay without the sack jokes. That was a quick race anyway, so it was
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Okay,
Totally
good.
fine.
I'm
But
glad we didn't lose listeners over.
no, you did a great job. I
Thanks.
thought you were great. Sean was great. Everybody, all the production was really, really good. Yeah, big props, man. Big props.
Thanks. Loved it. Loved it. I really hope we get to continue, onward and upward, expanding our coverage, doing more stuff. I hope CrossFit gets back into open announcements, whatever. I know regionals isn't coming back, but all the sort of sanctioned events, like I hope that all that stuff really starts to come
So
through and that.
what do we have coming up? You said we have Filthy 150 still going
Yeah, so
on?
the last I checked, like I never heard a public cancellation from Filthy, but when I looked at their Instagram, it said dates TBD. So originally it was going to be in like November, and I don't know what's going on over in Europe as far as COVID and shutdowns go. I don't have a lot of faith that we're going to have a big sanctional next month, but
Well,
really it's the open, the open going back to its original time, looking in the late winter, early spring.
open in February. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, and then that's the request of the listeners is if we've got, we're late October now, so we got November, December, January, we got 90 days until the open. So over the next 90 days, once you guys message us, let us know what you want to hear, people you want to hear from, guests you would like for us to have on. Our episodes that we've been sitting on that are about to be released very quickly are
Yay!
Neil Maddox, Josh Bridges, who am I missing? Oh, Kelsey
Kelsey Keel.
Keel.
Yep.
So we'll have those back to back to back. And then anybody else you guys would like for us to have on, we will certainly facilitate to make that happen. I don't think we'll ever get Matt, Tia, or Dave on based on the amount of jokes I've made at all their expense recently, but we can do our
Probably
best.
not.
And
We'll try.
we're gonna try to get new guy Eric at some point.
I
So
love that.
we shall see. We shall see. So yeah, so let us know, and then that'll be that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we want to cover tonight?
No, I think that's basically it. You guys did a great job. You and Steph did awesome. Thanks for holding down the fort while I was gone.
Steph is so much fun, and she's very funny and super knowledgeable about CrossFit, which is not surprising. And every time we do those Instagram live, the boys just send little, I told her like on the air one time, I'm like, I love doing this because when we do this together, I get all the little emojis with the heart eyes. And I don't normally get that just for me. So I feel the love. Like I feel like people love me more when she's around.
Yeah.
Because it's all about me,
Yeah, of course. She has that effect.
She really does. I'm like, I didn't realize I had this many male followers, but all of a sudden, all the males that never pay me attention are coming to my live stream. So here we are.
Wow.
I know. But
it's all you, man.
She did a great job. So I was very proud of her.
Yeah, you guys crushed it. Thank you for holding down the fort.
Yeah, big fun. And I will have more episodes of Inclusion RX. I just released one.
Yes. I'm addicted.
Just released one this week that I really loved. And then I've got several more. So we'll have a bunch of those coming out as well. So
sweet.
That's everything that's on deck. All right, we're good. And then more hustle gear next time we're on.
Yes, please.
Let's matchy again.
Okay. I'll send you a bra. Then we can matchy in our bras too.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks for being on as always, Niki. For everyone listening, thanks for joining us. We will chat with you guys soon.